Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, Kapila Shiksha, Bhakti Yoga Mahima, the glories of devotional service. Text 17. Cheta kalvasya bandhaya muktaye chatmanomatam guneshu saktam bandhaya ratam ha pumsi muktaye. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. The stage in which the consciousness of the living entity is attracted by the three modes of material nature is called bondage, conditional life. But when that same consciousness is attached to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then one is situated in a consciousness of mukti, liberation, freedom from birth and death. Purport. There is a distinction here between Krishna consciousness and Maya consciousness. Guneshu, or Maya consciousness, involves attachment to the three modes of material nature, Tamagun, Rajagun, Sattvagun, under which one works sometimes in goodness and knowledge, and sometimes he works in passion, and sometimes he works in ignorance. These different qualitative activities, with the central attachment being for material enjoyment, are the cause of one's conditional life or bondage to birth and death, samsara chakra. When a sane cheta or consciousness is transferred to Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or when one becomes Krishna consciousness, he is on the mukti path, the path of liberation, mukti marg. Bhakti marg, mukti marg. Bhakti marg, prem marg. Om Anjanatimurandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vancha Kalpa Trubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Chitta, consciousness. What is it? Where is it? How does it work? What is the difference between chitta and buddhi and man and ahankara? How do they interact? How do they affect us? And what is our relationship to chitta, ahankara, buddhi, man, consciousness, ego, ahankara, identity, intelligence, mind and senses, indriya. This chitta actually has two definitions which often confuse the devotees. The term chitta is generally translated as consciousness. But when the word chitta is translated as consciousness, that of course is correct. But there are two aspects of this consciousness, or this concept, or this reality of chitta. One definition of chitta is consciousness, and the word consciousness meaning awareness, cognizance, awareness. Taking the word chitta to mean simply consciousness, or consciousness means a state of consciousness, a state of awareness, a state of perception. Then the meaning of chitta, it expresses itself in three divisions. The concept of awareness: Jagrata, Swapna, and Susupti. These are three levels of awareness. And these terms, which you know in Hindi, they are translated as Jagrata, waking consciousness. Uto, awake. Now we are on Jagrata Chitta. We are awake, or at least some of us. Some of you are in Swapna, sleeping. So this is Jagrata, waking consciousness, waking awareness. Then the second level of consciousness, or chitta, taking it to mean awareness or consciousness, is what is that? Swapna, dreaming. I'm a movie star, I'm a king, I'm the temple president. I'm this, that, aham, this, that. And then, so that is sleeping consciousness, dreaming consciousness, aware of one's dreams, perceiving one's dreams. Namaste. Everyone's okay. Now the third level is Susupti. Susupti means deep awareness, deep dreamless sleep, a state of awareness or consciousness called deep dreamless sleep. So these are three levels of awareness or consciousness. Because when one reads Shastra, if he doesn't deeply perceive or inquire to understand these terms, he sometimes gets confused. Then beyond Susupti is the fourth state of awareness called Turiya. Turiya, T-U-R-I-Y-A, Turiya. The fourth state of awareness, even deeper and beyond, because all these other states of awareness, Jagrata, Swapna, and Susupti, they are operating in the modes of nature. Jagrata is some goodness, and Swapna is some passion, and then this ignorance of Susupti. But in Turiya, one goes beyond Turiya, the fourth level of consciousness or awareness, one goes beyond the modes. Momentarily or briefly through samadhi, yogic samadhi or meditation. And Turiya's state of consciousness is entered through meditation or through mantra. And one is not sleeping, one is aware, but there's a deeper level of consciousness beyond Jagrata, beyond Swapna, beyond Susupti, dreamless sleep, is conscious awareness of the self within. Antar Atma. The Atma, the Jiva, the living entity, the Jiva within the heart. Us, me, the real me. This is the me, this is the purpose of human life, to search for the essence of life. Oh, I'm alive. Yes, I'm very much alive. At least I hope so. I think so. I'm praying for that. But is that all? To breathe, to eat, to sleep, to interact, social intercourse, to construct, to build big bridges and this and that, and to destroy and to expand your empire, your finances? Is there any more essence or deeper significance of human existence? So this is the search for the essence of life. So now this is one meaning of chitta or consciousness. Now the other, second meaning of chitta or consciousness, this is where the confusion begins. So if you're sleeping, try to wake up. If you're awake, become more awake. If you're in Susupti, then go to Turiya. If you're in deep sleep, then meet the Super Soul. See yourself, enter the Turiya state of Chitta. This definition, because we get confused, because we read the Bhagavad Gita, and we try to get an understanding of Sambandha Gyan, Bhagavat Tattva, Karma Tattva, Kala Tattva, Jiva Tattva, Prakriti Tattva. These are the Panch Tattvas. You heard of the Pancha Tattva? Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Kora More. Right? Toma Bina. Oh, it's so nice. Our authentic Gaudiya Vaishnava, Asli Bengali, the real thing. A Gaur Bhakta is chanting Sri Krishna Chaitanya. There's something about the heart of a Vaishnava, as our Swamiji was saying. When you read the prayers of the Vaishnavas and the bhajans, their heart is coming through their prayers, their realization, their Vigyan, Bhakti Vigyan, the realizations of Bhakti. So Gita deals with these 5 subject matters. Yes? The soul, Jiva Tattva, Bhagavan Sri Krishna, Bhagavat Tattva, time, Kala Tattva, the world, this hardcore reality, this Delhi, this is a Prakriti Tattva, material energy. And then, what's the last one? Karma Tattva, the laws of action. What goes up must come down. America was a nothing nation 200 years ago, and they came up. Now they're down. 200 years, they're down. They're very down. Very bad situation there. Because nothing material lasts forever. We read in this Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 7, some description about Prakriti Tattva and about Jiva Tattva. So who can tell me the verse, Panditji, suniye, who can tell me the verse from the 7th chapter which describes Prakriti Tattva and Jiva Tattva? Bhumira po nalo vayo. Anyone else know? You can chat. Bhumira po nalo vayo kam anoburevacha ahankara bina prakriti ashtada. Is this verse talking about Prakriti? Bina, and then the next word? Bina? Prakriti. Is this verse talking about the Jiva? This verse 7.4 explains Krishna is teaching Arjuna that I have so many vibhutis. I have apara prakriti, which Guruji said. I have transcendental energy, and I have paraprak. Para prakriti is transcendental energy, and I have apara, which means opposite. I have apara prakriti, which is material energy, some different nature, some different lakshana and gun, characteristics and qualities. So now he's going to say, I have earth as my energy. Earth, bhumir, apo means pani. Bhumir, apo, valo. He says, earth, water, fire, air, ether, these are my energies, my gross prakriti. Then he says, what does he say? Because he says the verse doesn't talk about jiva, but then the next thing Krishna says, man, right? Does he say? What does the verse say? He says, man, buddhi, ahankar. So is mind, I want you to think, what is this verse? What is being said here? What is it describing? It's not, we shouldn't be dull. It's the computer age. Well, turn on this computer. You should get a boot up your computer. Tune in, turn on, realize. Krishna's talking about mind, intelligence, and ego. So where do we find mind, intelligence, and ego? Where do we find that? In a stone? We find it in a living entity, yes? Is another name for a living entity jiva? Yes. So does the verse describe jiva tattva? Yes. So consciousness, this chitta, so the Gita is telling us, Krishna is telling Arjuna, I have 8 energies. 5 gross energies, 3 subtle. So whenever anybody preaches, they describe that there's the gross body and a subtle body. Linga Sharira and Shukshma Sharira. S-T-H-U-L-A. S-T-H-U-L-A. Stula Sharira means the external body. And the external body produces nothing but stool. So it's easy to remember Krishna's external energies, Krishna's material, physical energies, earth, water, etc., they're called stool. Because we take water, and we take earth, and food, which is earth and water and air, and we eat it, and we turn it into... Now that's the gross body, so now you can all easily remember it if you don't know it, if you're an English person. So now the subtle body, which is man, buddhi, hankar, is called linga. So think of Shiva Linga, because Shiva controls the false ego. Lord Shiva, Mahadev, Shankar Bhagavan ki jai, Bam Bam Bole, Bholanath Mahadev ki jai. He's right there. He hears every single class. Shankar Bhagavan, his hands are over this temple. He is the Rakhi of this temple. This is the beauty. This temple is built on Govardhan Hill. Only Brijbasis can walk on Govardhan Hill. In Vrindavan, the Brijbasis can walk on Govardhan Hill. But the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, they don't walk. Rupa Goswami didn't walk. Chaitanya didn't walk. But in their Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the 6 Goswamis, in their Manjari Swarups and Sakhi Swarups and Radha Swarup and Krishna Swarups, they walk on Govardhan Hill. Because that's their Brijbasi Swarup. You follow? So Rupa Goswami is Rupa Manjari. As Rupa Goswami, he doesn't stand on Govardhan Hill. Srinathji came down from Govardhan Hill, went to Gantoli Gram to give him darshan. Nathji came down from Govardhan Hill and went to Gantoli Gram to give Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Radha and Krishna Yugal darshan. So Chaitanya didn't walk on Govardhan Hill. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahayanya. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is none other than Radha Krishna. When Gauranga is Radharani and Krishna, they walk on Govardhan Hill, they play, they have Leela, Kandara Keli. And these intimate caves on Govardhan, they enjoy Kandarpa Keli Leela, intimate union. So Radharani's walking there. Rupa Goswami, he doesn't touch, he doesn't walk, but his Rupa Manjari walks. Therefore, this is called logic. Therefore, when one has his Brijbasi Sarup, his Vrindavan Sarup, Gopika Sarup, Gopika Sitadeya, Gopa, Saka Sitadeya, or Mata, Pita, and Dasya, Das, he can walk on Govardhan Hill. So now follow the logic. Therefore the conclusion is that everybody in this temple is in their Sarup. Because we're sitting on Govardhan Hill right now. We're walking on Govardhan Hill. Then the next question is, how is that? I thought we were in east of Kailash on Sant Nagar main road. Hare Krishna Hill. That's what I heard. Well, that's the name that the Hare Krishnas gave this hill. But if you get the maps, from Delhi from 1740, from 1800, 1900, you get the maps of Delhi. If you look at it, this mountain is called Govardhan Hill. Giriraj Maharaj ki! So the reason I like to come to Delhi is because I always had a desire to walk on Govardhan Hill. But it's not parad. It's Mahaparad. It's like putting your foot on Krishna's head. But if you're Krishna's lover, my lover can stand on my head. I don't care. Your wife can stand on... She says, I want to stand on your head. And you say, okay. There's no bars, there's no restrictions. And this highest epitome of exchange and intimacy, conjugal love. So Krishna lets his beloved lovers, the gopas, they can walk on his head. Giriraj, Govardhandari is Krishna. So we're talking about Chitta. So Krishna leaves us with some slight confusion. Because when we open the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the supplement and the expansion of Bhagavad Gita, we find that the Srimad Bhagavatam tells us there are not 3 aspects or 3 divisions of the Linga Sharir. There are 4. There are 4 divisions. So therefore, Krishna's energy is not 8, Ashta Prakrita, it's Nava, no Prakrita. So, hey, Krishna's a liar? Krishna's lying? He says, does everyone understand what I'm saying? Are you clear? I read Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says 8. But I read Puranas and I read other Shastras and they say there's 9. And the Yoga Vashishta or in Yoga Shastra says there's 9. There's 4 divisions of the subtle body. Oh, this ISKCON cheated me. No, we also gave you the Bhagavatam. It also mentions Kapila Muni. He's a yogi. Kapila is a great yogi. He's a Gyan yogi, Bhakti, Gyan Mishra Bhakta. And he's telling, we'll read the verse, that there's 4 levels, and Prabhupada explains in the purport, there's 4 levels of the subtle body. So I met with some sadhus, some Siddha saints in Vrindavan, and I had a discussion about it. I said, what is this chitta? Because everyone from day one, baby Bhakta Joe, Cheta Dharvanamarjanam, the very first Sanskrit word that every baby Bhakta learns in ISKCON, he goes to Mangalartik. And after Mangalartik, he sits down, and they hand him a piece of paper. Okay, now, we're all going to chant this Shikshastakam. 1, 2, 3. Chaito Dharvanamarjanam Bhavamahadavagni Nirvapanam Shreya Kai Ravi Chandra Kavijana. And somehow everyone sleeps through the prayer without the slightest, vaguest idea what it means. But the very first word of that prayer is what? Cheta. Cheta means chitta. C-H, sometimes I spell it that, but C-H-I-T-T-A, or C, which means cha. C-H-I-T-T-A, chitta. So when I had this discussion, and then this discussion was made, then this person is quite a vidvan, and Bhagavad Tattva, he's a Gaudiya Vaishnava, he took out the Bhagavatam, he says, Swamiji, here's the verse. So then he opened the very same book that we're reading and studying right now, 3rd Canto, Part 4. And he opened it up to chapter, he had a little pink thing in his book like this, because he knew I was coming. Then he said, Swamiji, Deko. 3rd Canto Bhagavatam, chapter 26, verse 14. Mano buddhira hankarash chittam ityantar atmakam chaturda lakshyate bedo vritya lakshana rupaya. Bhagavan Kapila Muni said, the internal subtle senses, and that is a translation of anta atmakam. Anta means anta, means inside, same as Hindi. Anta atmakam. Atmakam, the word atma has different meanings. It means body. Body has senses. Sharir, indriya. So atma means sharir, or you say sharir or deha or whatever. Means body, and it also means senses. And it means atma, it means jivatma, the anti-material particle, the spiritual particle, the jiva, the soul. And atma means mind. Sanskrit has many meanings and shades of meaning depending on the context of the shloka and the sandesh, the philosophy. So here, Srila Prabhupada is describing antar atmakam, chaturda. He's saying the Linga Sharira has 4 divisions. Kapila Muni is saying the Linga Sharira has 4 divisions, which means there's not only 3 aspects of the subtle body which Gita teaches, because this of course is graduate study, yes? The Gita, we get too many details when we first start with, we may blow a fuse. We may blow one of our mental fuses. Boom, can't understand it all. So now Bhagavatam is for the graduates. And beginners also, but at least someone that's had some grasp or understanding of Bhagavad Gita, then he can understand the Bhagavatam. So here it's saying there are 4 aspects of the Linga Sharira. There's 4 divisions: Man, Buddhi, Hankara, and Chitta. which is, as I mentioned, is described as, translated as consciousness. So sometimes chitta means consciousness, dash, awareness, susupti, jagrata, susupti, swapna. But now in this case, consciousness or chitta means not that susupti, not that awareness, but part of the covering of the jiva. Because beyond the false ego, there's another layer. These are all like subtle things. It's very hard to conceptualize and visualize these concepts and the interactions and interplay of these aspects of our subtle being are rather esoteric and rather refined. But let's try to understand it. He says, Bhagavan Kapila Muni, the internal subtle senses are experienced as having 4 aspects. You heard that? Chaturdha, not 3. But there, Kapila is saying, Kapila is also a Shakti-avesh of Krishna, he's saying the subtle body has 4 aspects. And what are they? Mind, man, intelligence, buddhi, ego, hankara, and chitta. And then, since he's talking about the living entity bound in the material world, this is the discussion here. He translates chitta as contaminated consciousness, because chitta means consciousness. This is the second level. Distinctions between these 4 aspects of the subtle body, linga sharira, can be made only by different functions. In other words, you can only understand what these are. What is chitta? What is buddhi? What is man? What is false ego, ahankara? By the way they work. Namaste. By the way they act. By the way chitta acts like this. Mind works like this. You understand? Ahankara works like this. He's telling you. Distinctions between these 4 can be made. In other words, you can understand what because someone might say it's all one. Oh, chitta, ahankara is the same as intelligence. So there's bade. Bade means distinction. It's not homogeneous, oneness. There's distinction. So then distinction between them can be made only by different functions, since these 4 aspects of the subtle body represent different characteristics. This now back to the verse. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he understands that the real problem with the Buddha Jiva, the real problem with the conditioned soul is chitta. And don't get confused, because you're Hindi people, don't get confused with the word chitta and chaitana, or chinta. You may get confused. There's chitta, there's chaitana, and there's chinta. What I'm speaking now is giving you a lot of chinta. My discussion of chitta is causing your chaitan a lot of chintan. Is that correct? Good. Okay. Vishnu, 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 Prabhupada! Chup karo. That's a very clever thing I said. And how was I able to say it? Mukam karoti vachalam, pangam langayate gurim, yat kripadam aham bande, shiguram dinataranam, paramananda madhavam. Mukam karoti vachalam, pangam langayate girim, a lame, a crippled man with 1 leg or no legs. Girim langate, he can cross over, take on the mountains, giri. Mukam karoti vachalam, mukam karoti, a mook, a stupid fool, karoti vachalam. He can speak poetry, he can speak riddles, he can speak philosophy, tarka, naya, sandesh, everything. By Guru Kripa he keva. Only by the mercy of the spiritual master can a Can a worm become a butterfly? Can a creamy become a patang? Is that right? A worm, creamy, become a butterfly, patang. Like, that's also the name for kite, isn't it? Patang, flying your kite. This is kite season in Radhakund. All the kids are flying kites because there's a lot of wind. Chaito Darpana Marjanam. Lord Chaitanya starts out, the very start of Lord Chaitanya's Shiksha, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu begins his teaching to his students, he says, hey, betiye, aram se, bet jao, suniye. Listen, take notes. Chaito Darpana Marjanam. So marjan, to clean. So Lord clean, we have to clean the chitta. Oh, excuse me, Guruji, I have a question. Why you're talking about Chaito? Chaito means chitta. First, hope everyone understands. Chaito, C-E-T-O, means chitta. It's another way of saying chitta. This subtle layer. Guruji, why are you comparing chitta to darpan? You know darpan? Mirror. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest of them all? You ever heard this? Who is the fairest of them all? Gaurangi Radharani ki. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi. That she is Gauri. Gauri Sham. Gaura Sham. Beautiful, golden. Darpan. Guruji, why are you saying Darpan? Okay, listen tightly. The Atma, the first covering of the Atma, this is all subtle. It's not like one kambal and another kambal, then a razai on top of the kambal. Do kambal and one razai. Both tandahe. So, 2 blankets and 1 quilt. The first covering is the chitta. This is a material energy. It is a prakriti. Chitta prakriti. This chitta is and the reason Lord Chaitanya compares it to a mirror, it's not, when you think of a mirror, you think of a piece of glass, and on the back of that glass, it's coated with a surface of silver ion particles or something, silver oxide. There's some process. They take a piece of glass and they put some chemicals, silver something, on the back of it, and it reflects. That's how it works. Otherwise, you take off the backing, it's a piece of glass. You understand? So you may be thinking of the glass or the mirror, but actually, Lord Chaitanya is explaining here that now when we use this analogy, Chaito Darpan, Darpan means mirror. This analogy Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is using is not the mirror itself, but what the mirror creates. It's called, if I'm right, pratibimba. Pratibimba means reflection. So that when Lord Chaitanya said, Chaito Darpana Marjanam, because he wanted to give us something we can hold on to. If he says, Chaito Pratibimba Marjanam, imagine he said, clean the reflection of your consciousness. So what's that? So he's using this analogy that the mirror, oh yeah, because that's what we think, that's how we speak when we preach, because otherwise it's too confusing. So Lord Chaitanya is a perfect Shiksha Guru for everyone, and because he's Krishna, Adi Guru Mahaprabhu. So he's giving us, so we usually say, you see a mirror, or when a mirror gets covered by dust, rudge, you can't see your face, so you have to wipe off the mirror with a piece of cloth. So chanting Hare Krishna cleanses the mirror of the consciousness. And we use this, we preach, right? Our consciousness is like a mirror, but that's good, it works and it's correct. And that's to give us something we can hold on to and visualize. Yes, my mirror is dirty. My mirror is full of dirt, the dirt of Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moha, Matsarya, and I have to wipe it clean. Well, how do you wipe it clean? Mantra lepana, or mantra safkiya, Mahamantra mantra safkiya. Use the Maha Mantra as the towel or the cloth to cleanse the consciousness. The Maha Mantra, Shinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shavana Kirtana Vidyantaksto Yabhadrani Vidunati Saritsatam Krishna is the Mahamantra. When we chant the Mahamantra, Krishna in the heart becomes awake. He says, oh, what's happening? Oh, they're chanting Mahamantra. Oh, that's me. Hey, all right, Hare Krishna. Oh, this guy wants me to clean his heart. I was enjoying my sleep in his heart. Okay. And Krishna takes out his... Okay. This verse in Bhagavatam, maybe second canto, first canto maybe, first canto, Shukadeva Goswami is saying that Krishna, he's so happy when a devotee chants his name and hears his glories. Because you can't chant without hearing. You can't hear without chanting. Shravanam Kirtanam. So Shringatam. I'm so happy when I hear that somebody chants my name or reads my teachings in Gita and Bhagavatam, that I wake up, I'm sleeping in his heart as Paramatma. I wake up and I do him a favor. He's serving me, he's doing Nam Seva. So he's serving me and pleasing me by chanting my holy name. So serving means love. I serve you because I love you. So Krishna is saying, well, I love you too. You're chanting my name, you're glorifying. I want to help you. You're in trouble. You need some big time help. Your consciousness, your mirror is really dirty. There's layers and layers of mud, mitti, and stool covering that mirror in your living room. The place where you're living, which means your living room, is your consciousness. The Atma is living in the consciousness. And the consciousness is sullied. It's sullied, it's polluted, it's dirty with lust, greed, envy, anger, and false conceptions and misconceptions of reality, and misapprehension and illusion, and fear, and lamentation, and hankering. These are all dirt on the consciousness. So it's like mud. So you have to chip it away. It's like you have to chip off the thick covering the mirror and find that image, to find that reflection. So Krishna helps. He says, I personally cleanse the mirror of consciousness. So in this terms of understanding, we have the Atma, then at the first layer, the first part of the subtle body that covers the Atma is the Chitta. The Chitta is actually it's reflection. Because the pure consciousness of the Atma, the pure consciousness of the Atma, the energy of the Atma, the energy of identity, eternal identity, with the awareness of God and the awareness of one's Sarup and one's identity, everything in that pure consciousness that's emanating from the Atma, that reflects, it's a reflection coming, it's like a prabha, it's like a light coming from the Atma, and that reflection, because it's mixed in the material body, it appears that reflected layer of energy or light coming from the Atma is the Chitta. But now it's contaminated by mixing with the material mind, intelligence, and ego. First the ego, which is identifying with the body. So the actual layer of Chitta is a reflection. In other words, the prabha, or the reflection coming, as we read in the Bhagavatam, the soul, the Atma, is more brilliant than 1,000,000 suns. So that brilliance, that tej, is the consciousness, the energy. But that as it approaches the body, the material body, which it's situated in, it creates this reflection, and that's called Chitta. And in that Chitta, in that mirror, that Chitta, are all samskaras, all of our samskaras. Whatever we ever did, any sense activity, anything we did with our senses, anything we touched, anything we saw, we did with our body, that creates a samskara. It's an impression. It's called bijam, karma bijam, action, reaction. Karma, you act in this material world, it creates a bijam. Now bijam makes a fall. So all of our activities and our tendencies to act in a certain way, they are stored in that Chitta, in that reflection, which is connecting the Atma to the material body. That's called a Chitta. It's a layer, it's a reality. As much as mind is a reality, a real aspect of the material energy, Chitta, or consciousness, is a layer. It's a thin, you just imagine it's like a layered cake or something. It's a thin layer which is made of reflection. It reflects the Atma. And then in there, all of this lifetime, and that's called in psychology, they call tapping the subconscious. They do hypnotism, past life regression, and they take things out of your consciousness. And the people say, last life I was this, through psychiatry and all these things. So in the chitta are all of our tendencies. And then from these samskaras are called, every action creates a samskara. So there are bhoga samskaras and there's bhakti samskaras. When we engage on the platform of material sense gratification, material enjoyment, bhog, ahara, nidra, maitun, eating, sleeping, mating, defending, all the material activities, working, these are prakrita samskaras. And they create material samskaras, which means that samskara is like the tendency to act. The primordial tendency to act in a certain way. And that's stored in the chitta. And bhakti sanskaras, shravana, hearing about Krishna prarthana, Krishna pujanam, archanam, japam, dhyanam, tirtha yatra, tirtha snan, divya nadi snan, jamuna snan, ganga snan, all these type of activities, spiritual activities, yoga abhyas, these are transcendental samskaras. And these are actually purifying. They actually purify that reflection, that chitta. Anyway, the chitta, because in the same purport he says, when the chitta is purified, when that reflection is purified, then that reflection purifies the false ego. Then the false ego purifies the intelligence, and the pure intelligence controls the senses, and the senses act in a pure way. Pure means spiritual way. So that's why Lord Chaitanya says, Cheto Darpana Marjanam. First we have to clean the chitta. And that's done by chanting Hare Krishna. So when it's a little difficult, but the main point you should understand that the chitta is a fourth aspect of the subtle body. And this is what we're purifying. We're purifying the reflection of the Atma, which takes the shape of chitta. And then, because there's a pure consciousness, there's pure chitta and impure chitta. So all the samskaras we have are material, which creates material identity and material activity. When we replace all those samskaras, you can imagine like this chitta it's like a field, and you put a bunch of, let's say, field, you put a bunch of sticks. You have a piece of earth, and you put some sticks in it. Each one of those sticks represents a samskara stuck in the consciousness. And when one performs bhakti or chants Hare Krishna or serves Krishna, bhakti samskaras, then all these material samskaras which create vasana means desire. When the tendency, say we have a tendency for sex life, say that we're ordinary conditioned human being, at a certain age, he manifests intense desires for sex enjoyment. This is a very basic thing. Where do they come from? They come from the chitta. This is a samskara. Because of previous lives, previous existences, we engage in so much mitun. So that creates a samskara which travels with us from body to body. The Atma travels in the chitta and the buddhi and the man and hankara. Then we come in this body, they try to say it, the scientists say it's instinct, or they don't really understand this whole science of samskaras. Now that tendency is there, the tendency to act, but not everybody. Some jivas, some human beings, they don't have any sex desire from birth because their chitta does not have that samskara. Their chitta, their consciousness, does not have some peg there, some piece of wood that's a desire for that activity. So they never manifest, even if they're in the presence of the sense objects, they never manifest a desire to enjoy that tendency. Samskara means impression in the chitta, and tendency to enjoy, and vasana means to desire. Just like if you have no appetite, I have no appetite, and someone brings chapan bhog in front of you, you say, I have no interest. I have no interest, I don't want to eat, because you have no desire at that moment. So someone who has no samskara for sex enjoyment, 1,000 naked women can come before him, because the object of the senses, it creates a stimulant. Like someone might say, I have no sex desire. He sits in his room all by himself. I'm free from sex desire. Well, he thinks he's free because there's no object to enjoy with. But then a woman comes in his room, and then because he has a samskara in his chitta, the tendency to enjoy, that object, woman, creates a contact. He sees the object, woman. Then that object hits his samskara. Boing! And then from the samskara arises vasana, which means the desire to enjoy the tendency that you have. But if someone doesn't have that samskara, even in the presence of those objects of enjoyment, they say, I don't have anything for that. Like somebody brings you pickles, and I really like pickles. Like we have this phrase, I really like pickles. Why? Why do you really like pickles? Because it's a samskara. You have a pickle samskara. Because in so many lifetimes as a Punjabi, you ate pickles. So I love pickles. I eat 27 times of pickles a day. And another guy couldn't care less. You could, stick pickles in his nose, he would spit them out. Because he has no samskara for it. So this is how it works. Vasana arises from samskara. No samskaras, no vasana. So all these Chaita Dharmadam, this means the Hare Krishna mantra removes all the samskaras from the chitta. And once the samskaras are removed from the chitta, then the false ego is purified. That's why he said when the chitta is purified, the false ego is purified, ahankara. Ahankara means who I am. Identity, who am I? I am body. We will continue to think I am body, man, woman, etc. as long as our chitta is contaminated. Because that's samskaras. And as long as there's samskaras, as soon as you meet the object, then the vasana, desire arises. It's like, you can think of an analogy, I don't know, it came to mind. You have a pot of water, and just water, and nothing's happening. But then you put some heat under the pot of water, on the stove, on the chula. And pretty soon, vapor starts rising. It starts boiling. The water starts boiling and some vapor, vapor? Some clouds, and water vapor is coming out. And pretty soon the water disappears, right? So this vapor is the vasana. The water is the samskara. As long as nobody puts any water fire under the water, it doesn't make any vapor. So that was Vishwamrita Muni's problem. Vishwamrita Muni was a great Muni. He was totally in a sense control by his tapabalam and meditation. He got power. Blessing of Krishna, blessing of Paramatma. As he performed yoga according to the Shastras. So he got blessing. But yoga only pacifies the senses, it doesn't purify them. You can control them, but not forever. Because the samskaras, which is the platform of activity, are not removed. So when he heard some ankle bells, he heard ankle bells of Menaka, a prostitute, and because he was a king, he had so many samskaras stored in his chitta for sex life that were not removed by yoga, were not removed by meditation. So jing, 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 jing. That sense object, tinkling of ankle bells, entered his ear, and it went across his chitta like a laser. Ankle bells, ankle bells, ankle bells, ankle bells, ankle bells, ankle bells. Do you have any samskaras for ankle bells? Boing, wife. Wife, ankle bells. Then the ankle bell, that sound drops into that samskara, wife's samskara, boing, and it hits that samskara for wife, which means enjoyment, mitun. Then the ankle bells, boing. Then once the object contacts the samskara, then rising from the samskara, the vapor, vasana, calm vasana, the desire to enjoy. He opened his eyes. 60,000 years of meditation, controlling his senses for 60,000 years. We can't control our senses for 6 hours. We wake up at 3 o'clock, and by 9 o'clock we'll go crazy if we don't eat something. We can't control our senses for 6 hours. Okay, we have breakfast, we have nashta at 9 o'clock, and lunch is at 3, which is very healthy. 6-hour gap between meals. But all of a sudden at 12 o'clock comes, I need a little snack. Little few potato chips and this, that. Not because we're hungry, not because we need it, but because we're not Krishna conscious. Our minds are disturbed. So this is something, so this chitta is this is that reflection. So when that chitta, so Lord Chaitanya said, purify this chitta. which means chanting will remove all these bhog samskaras, which will take all the kama vasana with it. And then it will be replaced by desires to chant, some tendencies to chant, tendencies to serve, tendencies to do puja. That's why you see, you have a child, you have 5 children. One child, he's 2 years old, he rings a bell, goes, ding, 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 ding. And then you say, wow, look at my son, he's a natural pujari. And he takes the peacock feather, and he goes, and all of a sudden, he goes, hey, he's making an offering. And everyone's saying, why is he so naturally inclined, or instinctively inclined to do puja? He's only 2 years old. Because in his last life he did so much puja, he may have even been a pujari, so he has heavy samskaras. So he's never seen any objects of puja till he was 2 years old. Because you never had a temple in your house until he was 2. He was just crawling around your apartment down in Chandi Chowk. And you finally got a big house in GK and built a temple. And then you became a Hare Krishna, so you had a temple room, and you had a peacock fan, and you had chamara, you had achman belt, you had ganta and achman. He never saw these objects, so he never manifested his samskara of being a pujari. You follow? So now he's 2 years old, 5 years old, and he crawls in the temple room. Oh. Ding, 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 ding. Oh, put down that bell. The mother runs in and says, oh, put down that bell. But he's actually, by contacting that object, that ganta, that bell, he touches that object, then it goes, all across chitta, puja, archana, last life. I had a temple, I did puja, I was a pious Hindu, or whatever. Or I was a pujari, even better. And then it goes, then from that comes vasana. Jing, jing, jing. Oh, I like this. I want to do something, but he doesn't know what because he hasn't developed so much. The mother, hey, put that down, and he puts it down, and then he's playing. Then he crawls back again and goes like this, hey, because he has a tendency to ring that bell because he has a samskara. The mother, hey, put that bell, rather than understanding that this is his inherited nature. It's in his chitta. She should encourage him, give him bell and achman cup and everything, give him his own puja set, and let him develop that bhakti samskara. So this is the chitta. So this, Lord Chaitanya, we have to purify the chitta. So the greatest example of pure chitta is the gopis. They have the purest consciousness. The Braja gopis have this gopika chitta, or gopi chitta. The gopis' consciousness. Because they're not thinking anything. They're not thinking anything of their material bodies. They're never thinking of it. They have no thought about their material existence. They're never thinking about their material bodies. And all of us, most everyone, our dearest possession, the dearest possession to all of us is our material body. But the gopis never even think about it. When Krishna calls them with the flute, they don't even have any consideration. They're not even thinking about the body because they're so much absorbed in thinking of Krishna. They forget how to dress properly, one earring or one lipstick on one lip or whatever. Then families. The gopis, they don't even care for their husbands or their children. And ordinarily, a young woman, a young bride, Gopa Vadu means a young married bride. A newly married woman is called a Vadu. Gopa Vadu means the newly married wives of the Gopas, the cowherd men, the gopis. Lalita, Vishaka, Radha, they have husbands. Abhimanyu is her husband. But the gopis, they don't have any thought. They don't even care about their husbands or their children if they have. And of course, most of them don't. But the older, the ones in Vatsalya Bhav. But for us, for a wife, her husband and her children are the dearest possessions they have. They can't think of anything more dear. And the gopis, sure they. Because their consciousness is full of Krishna. The gopis are the best example of perfect Krishna consciousness. Their chitta is completely pure. It's filled with Krishna. And then even this world, they don't even think about this world. They don't even think about the afterlife, or we should do some puja, or what's in the next life. They're only thinking of Krishna. And this is how to purify the consciousness, to always think of Krishna. Now, our minds and hearts, our consciousness is very much attached to this material body and to our family. We're attached. Our consciousness is absorbed. Our mind, our heart, our chitta is absorbed in our bodies and our families, and actually it's a source of great pain, because all material objects and all material persons are simply illusory, temporary. So the whole idea of this verse is that the conclusion is that we should transfer our consciousness by filling our chitta with spiritual activities and spiritual samskars. We should transfer our consciousness to Krishna. So our mind and heart should always be absorbed in Krishna. And who is Krishna? He's a reservoir. He's a reservoir of all beauty and pleasure. And if we fix our minds on Krishna, we fix our hearts on Krishna, then we can swim in an unlimited ocean. We can swim in an unlimited ocean of transcendental bliss. And Rupa Goswami says in one place in Nectar Devotion, or this is mentioned in one purport I read in the Bhagavatam, I think it's 11th canto maybe, doesn't say where it's from, just says, Rupa Goswami said that a devotee should have the courage means the vira ras, a devotee should have the strength of the courage to reject, to give up and to let go and to reject anything which blocks or impedes his progress in spiritual life. Anything and anyone who are blocking or which is blocking our spiritual progress should be eliminated, just eliminated. And this is what the gopis did. Swajanam, dustyajam, swajanam, aryapatam chahitva. Uddhava Mahashaya glorifies the gopis. The gopis are young married ladies in Vrindavan. But it says, dustyajam, swajanam. They rejected their swajan. Swajana means their own relatives, their own people. They just, tyaj. Yadustijam swajanam aryapatam, Arya, and Prabhupada defines Arya as one who is advancing spiritually. A human being who is advancing in spiritual realization or God realization is called an Aryan. It's not some name for some special race. It's a consciousness. So the Aryapat is that path of spiritual life, or the path of Dharma. So Dharma means Sati Dharma, the proper code of behavior and activities for a married woman. So Aryapatam Chahitva. Religiousness, religious conduct, and Dharma, all of Dharma, Hitva means that they just destroyed it, they rejected it, they threw it away. Why and how? Because they are completely attached to Krishna. So the gopis are the ideal example, the perfectional example of pure consciousness. Chaito Dharpana Marjan. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is teaching us how to purify our consciousness by chanting the holy name of the Lord. So in this verse, Kapila Muni is pointing this out to us about this consciousness. When we become Krishna conscious, then everything is purified. So that's why Lord Chaitanya said, if you purify the chitta, everything else is purified. Once the chitta is Chaito Dharpana Marjan, that's why he said, he just started there. He attacks that, the chitta. Remove all these material samskaras and kamavasana goes with it. Then if the chitta is pure, then the false ego, the ego becomes pure. Who am I? I am Krishna's servant. Then if the ego is purified, then the buddhi becomes purified. If hankara is pure, then buddhi becomes pure. Buddhi is intelligence. And intelligence means discrimination. So once I realize and purify my ego and chitta that I'm Krishna's servant, aham mameti. Aham means I am Atma. Aham Brahmasmi. Jiva Swarupaya Krishnara Nityadas. I am Krishna's eternal servant. This is called pure ego. Now that pure ego, that conception purifies the next layer of the covering the Atma, which is the buddhi, the intellectual faculty, which means discrimination, choices, making the right choices. So then the pure ego makes the intelligence pure. And when the intelligence is pure, it makes all the right choices. It discriminates. Anukulyena sankalpa pratikulyasya varjanam. When the ego is pure, then that purifies the intelligence. When the intelligence is pure, then the pure intelligence accepts everything which is favorable for Krishna consciousness, anukulyena sankalpa, and rejects everything which is unfavorable, pratikulyasya varjanam. When the intelligence is purified, then the mind becomes purified. The pure intelligence will purify the mind, because we're discriminating properly. And the mind's function is sankalpa and vikalpa. These are the characteristics or functions of the mind, sankalpa and vikalpa, which doesn't mean choices. It just means it picks up. The mind works with the senses. The senses pick up objects. The eye picks up form. The eye picks up some form. The eye sees woman. The man's eye sees woman. He picks up that form and he hands it over to the mind. Here's rupam, stri rupam. I see. Hey, mind, man, take this stri rupam. The mind says, oh, stri rupam. Sankalpa vikalpa. Accept or reject. So then, what you'll accept or reject depends on your discrimination, your intelligence. But when it's pure, then you reject the thing that's unfavorable. So then the mind will be controlled or purified by the pure intelligence, and the senses are just, they work under the mind's influence. They're not mentioned here. So once the mind is purified, then everything's covered. So this is some brief overview of the interplay and interworkings of chitta. Chitta is the first covering. The most subtle covering of the living entity is not the false ego. The most subtle covering is the chitta. Chitta is the barrier, is the layer of distinction, or the fourth layer of the subtle body. And sometimes it's described as an aspect of false ego. That's why Krishna didn't mention it in Gita. He only mentioned Hankar, Buddhi, and Man. 3 aspects. But Kapila Muni, he's making it a separate aspect, which is usually described in other shastras. But sometimes chitta is an aspect of ego, but clearly chitta is actually a separate layer. That's why Lord Chaitanya is not saying Hankara Darpana Marjanam. He's not saying Ahankara Marjanam, right? Lord Chaitanya could have said in his prayer Ahankara. He could have said Man. Listen what I'm saying. Chaito Darpana Marjanam. He could have said purify your mind. He didn't, although we have to. He could have said purify your intelligence. He didn't. He did not, but we have to. He could have said purify your ego. He didn't, but we have to. But he did, because certainly Lord Chaitanya knows there's something called Ahankara. Lord Chaitanya is Krishna. And in Gita, Krishna is saying Hankara and Buddhi and Man. Now that same Krishna becomes Lord Chaitanya, and he's not talking about Hankara. In Gita, that same Krishna is saying Hankara is the final point. It's the most subtle point. But then he comes to Lord Chaitanya, he doesn't talk about Hankara, you follow. He talks about Chitta. Hey, wait a minute. What's Chitta? I'm confused. Because Lord Chaitanya as a guru, he's considering Chitta a separate thing, because it is a separate thing. And this is what he came to purify, is the Chitta. By engaging us in Harinam Sankirtan, which is the most powerful purification of the Chitta. Pram Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtan ki Kali Yuga Patita Pavanavatar Gauranga Mahaprabhu ki Jai Shivan Bhagavatam ki Jai Jai Shri Radhe.